I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is all the mods of Volcano Block. Now, jumping right into today's episode, the Wandering Trader is actually offering something really nice. Some pointed dripstone. It looks like got some wither skeleton skulls. We don't really need the dripstone, but it also is offering prismarine, a lot of stuff that is really worth it. Now, today I want to get into some simple ore processing. We need to get some stuff processed up and get somewhere today, right? We need to start getting our ores sorted and of course compressed and all of that fun stuff, right? So this is going to be kind of a challenge, not because it's going to be hard, but it's going to be tough to just choose what is the best thing to use for processing. So after doing some deep thinking, I've come to a conclusion. This early on, I don't think that the actual processing part is super important, where we try to duplicate and get the most out of each raw ore. I think the best part as of right now, the thing that we should be focusing on first is just having resources available. So I'm thinking just getting these pieces converted into their ore counterparts, right? The raw versions, and then smelting that and having that system automated is going to help us tremendously through the future. And then we can worry about processing later when we need more materials. So what is the best mod at smelting a lot of things at once? Well, outside of create, that's going to have to be mechanism. Yeah, I know. It's coming in clutch today. Now, when it comes to getting into mechanism, we've already done a couple of things. We've already gotten into the metallurgic infusers, so we already have a lot of the resources needed to get this going. Now, I would have done IC2 early on, but the more I look at the IC2 mod, the more I'm like, I don't think that we have the resources really to just dump into this. I think we should have a steady supply of iron and things like that always coming in, and that will make getting into the IC2 mod a lot easier. However, IC2 is definitely really good on the processing side of things, at least early on. Outside of occultism, it's really the only thing that can take the raw form of an ore and duplicate it. So it does seem like the Crusher Spirit, which is an actual entity, well, it can actually, yeah, it can generate quite a bit of the dust from the raw iron. And I think it can go all the way up to ×6. So he can do like 6 times ore processing. I think it goes up each step here. This mod is a little bit more obscure, and the process of doing this is a lot more obscure as well. Whereas the macerator will be a guaranteed 2. No other mod in here, from what I've seen, does anything like that. A lot of the mods, when it comes to the raw iron, they will only give you basically 1/3 extra if you're lucky. You know, that's sort of how it's been going in the newer versions of Minecraft. No longer are the days of course, ore doubling from the raw. So getting into this, I'm just going to set up a temporary like automated system here that is going to utilize the sides of this machine, which we are going to need to set up. And we're going to feed from the sides, from the top, and we're going to pull from the bottom. So I just need to set up a few barrels on each of these for a very rudimentary automation of the metallurgic infuser. We're going to be generating 2 different things, the same things that we've generated in the past. And that is going to be sending iron and redstone and osmium and redstone to generate the alloy and the circuit. Now, you also might be wondering, hey, Chosen, how are you going to get steel? Because mechanism is, well, very steel hungry. Well, early on, of course, well, we would normally put it into the metallurgic infuser, one of these right here, and we would set up a sort of stacked setting that allowed us to take coal and iron and combine that into an infused version, and then we'd add more coal, and that would make steel. Well, in our case here, getting into steel in this particular pack is quite the easy process. So all we're going to need is some raw iron, and we're going to need a hammer to make the iron dust. So if we have a hammer here, let's see, this hammer, it can be any. Platinum is pretty good. It does have a higher durability, and we do have more of that now. So we can use a platinum hammer. And then we take our iron dust that we generated, of course, from our hammer, and we combine that with some coal. And this right here will create steel dust for us. Yeah, that's a stack of steel. And all we have to do is just put that into a furnace for right now. and smelt it down. Of course, we're going to have this whole smelting setup automated here soon. But yeah, that's basically it. So a very easy way to get still early on and get this process started. Now, I was thinking this probably won't be the prettiest of solutions, but it is a solution nonetheless. And I really like that. I think this is going to be pretty functional. And at the end of the day, that is going to allow us to make things look better in the future. So our storage controller here, I'm going to be setting up some compacting drawers. Now, these aren't too bad at my current stage to make. So I went ahead and made a set that is going to comprise our pieces, and then I have a set that is going to house the finished product, which is going to be our ingots. So I just done a few tests, and it turns out that, well, these drawers, they don't compact the actual pieces. Oh, that would have been so nice if they would have allowed the compacting in here. And that's unfortunately a problem in a lot of mod packs. I'll end up playing it early on. The compacting doesn't work, but later on the compacting will be fixed. And so, yeah, this is probably going to be one of those cases. But yeah, the compacting functionality is not in here as of right now. So yeah, this is going to look a little funky for a while, but eventually we're going to have a Planet Energistics, and none of this is really going to stick out like a sore thumb. And that will be much, much nicer. So yes, right here, we have a pipe routing right in the center that is now leading to these, which all have the filters in place. As you can see, they are powered. And they should be exporting all of the things we need. Well, now we've got to start working on the furnace. And at this point, I think I have everything, yeah, that I should need set up here. And of course, once we get this, we're going to start working on the upgrades, which are going to cost a little bit. But yeah, now I can go ahead and make our furnace. So energized smelter, here we go. And this should be able to handle this for a while. At least I hope that it can handle it. At least at the rate that we're producing stuff. So, mechanism smelter. Let's get our steel casing. And then we'll actually make the energized smelter itself. And then we should be able to immediately upgrade it to at least the basic factory version. Now, moving it forward, this is going to require these. So we should be able to at least get it to the advanced version. Because the next step is going to require a bit more to make. This requires us to have diamond that's crushed down to make the reinforced alloy. So let's at least try it with this, and we can always upgrade later after the fact. So let's go ahead and place a block down so I can place this against it. Remove that. Of course, this is going to need power back here, so I'm still going to get that set up. And then I'm going to route this down like so. So this is going to connect to the middle, which means we probably need to disconnect this pipe setup like that. And then we'll have this pull from both sides. I believe it can pull from both sides. Yeah, it can pull from both sides. And then have that routed into the bottom. And so what we want is we want this to... I don't know if we want it to auto-sort. We'll see. We'll see which is better. But we definitely want to clear the input sides and have the input be on the bottom. And the output be on the top, and make sure it's set to auto-extract. That way it'll automatically put it in here, which will ultimately go into our drawers. Now, of course, this wouldn't be modded if I didn't encounter issue after issue, and it does appear like there's an issue here. This should auto-export to the controller, and I can go ahead and test this by grabbing myself a barrel or any sort of inventory. And I think, I mean, this should automatically export, like to the side, for example. If I set this to eject, right now it's set to the top. So the bottom's input, that's set to auto eject, and it's not ejecting the items. Will it auto eject to the side? Yeah, it does. So I'm not quite sure why that's doing that and not automatically ejecting it into the storage controller. It should treat that like an inventory, but I guess it doesn't have a actual inventory, and so it's not doing it, I guess. Bummer, because that would look really cool. Actually, you know what? It might work, but it's just because I don't have the stuff defined yet. So let me actually turn this off on the side, and let me take a look here. So there's nickel, and then there's iron. We have more nickel, and then we have tin, and then osmium. Is it automatically sending it now? Oh, it is. Okay, good. So yeah, it was just because we didn't have an inventory to find. Of course, problem solving. That's what we must do. I just figure it would automatically fill the inventory, but I guess it doesn't in this case. Now for the fun part, setting the filter on this so that way we specify exactly what is going to go in. So we want to whitelist and we want to start adding all of these pieces one by one. And so I'll get the piece added in, and then I'll just add the next one, and so on and so forth. Now, I don't know if this is 100% necessary. I'm also going to set this to round robin, doing the filter, because I think there's only, only a certain amount of spaces things can go anyways. So I wouldn't think that it would be too big of a deal, but we definitely don't want like polished diorite and stuff like that going in here, right? For example. So actually, let me go ahead and get that in, make sure to remember that slot. Yeah. And so this right here is where we're going to run into a bottleneck. It's just not fast enough as of right now to keep up with all of the stuff. So we need to start working on power upgrades and just simply upgrading this whole thing, right? Because that's going to eventually make this work way faster. Also, quick tip, if you don't like this noise, well, you can go into your muffler settings and just search mechanism, and you'll see that right here is the smelter. You can just hit the muffle sound and then just turn it to like your desired noise level. It gives you very, very nice customization over your sounds. Now, I should be able to make the upgrades for this. This requires some gold dust. And so 8 of these are going to be the max. Now, the speed is where I just don't know. We can make some speed upgrades. This requires osmium dust. Let's see. Osmium. And we'll take a hammer, that same hammer that we used earlier. This is just the easiest way to make this dust. Oh, it's so nice that we can do this. And then mechanism. So speed upgrades is going to be pretty nice, but I don't think we can max this out. That'll be pretty ridiculous, I think, to do this. Because I don't think we're going to have the power to be able to support it. So inside the upgrades, of course, we can shift right click the maximum energy upgrades, and it's going to make this 10 FE per operation, which is, or per tick, which is great. It was 100, so that has really helped. And we were able to maintain 100. So let's see what it's like with just 4 upgrades in. That's back to 100, and it's basically double the speed now. And that seems pretty good. I don't think we have the power to support this, which is 1,000. Yeah, we definitely don't have enough. We should see our power dwindling here at that point. Like, this is definitely going to start dwindling, right? Right? There it goes. Maybe not. There's no way this can keep up with 1,000 RF. We have no battery. So where's it getting the power? Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. I was about to say, there's no way. So let's uninstall and just leave it at 4. And just leave it at the 100 FE, because I think that is that's more reasonable, and this should start to generate the power back. But I mean, for what we have, this is great because we're generating tons of iron now, and this is all just for free. So right, we have tons of iron. Now this is what I want to do. I want to link this inventory right here to our main network. And so I should be able to just add this inventory, and now I can access all of the iron, as you can see right here. That is perfect. Now, one thing I definitely want to do is now lock all of these. So I think locking them is definitely a must. It's not putting them in here anyways, and we don't want to put things in our inventory, and it happened to go into this before we get these all filtered out. So perfect. So now we can start to craft with these materials. Now, while all of my materials is processing up, let's solve another problem, and that is accessing this storage. And well, there is a way you can actually do it while not being here to do it. And that involves a spell. But there's also a few other things that we can do. Now, the spell we're going to need in order for us to be able to do this is called Interact. And as you can see, it does require one of those essences that we have automated over here. These essences are going to be great. I'm actually going to pull a stack of each essence that we've had going out, because the majority of spells that we eventually craft in here is going to most likely require one of these essences. So as you can see, that went in, and then there's a couple of other components we're going to need, such as a button, a lever, and we're also going to need a pressure plate. Now, with all of these things in, what this spell is going to allow us to do is simply interact with things like levers and many other things, including screens, and we can access a chest and all kinds of stuff, right? So that's ultimately what this is going to do. Now, here is it. Let's go ahead and learn. And we can go ahead and create a spell. So inside, let's go ahead and have this projectile. That way we can just do it from range and interact. And we'll say use, right? Now, what I can do is I can shoot this from here, and notice it interacts. It actually opens up the inventory that I clicked on. So how do we go about using this wirelessly? Because of course, what if I'm up top here? I can't just like shoot my my lectern to access it, right? Well, there's actually something inside of Ars that allows you to use spells in really any location. Now, those things are called scry crystals, and scry crystals allow us to basically use a spell through it. But we're also going to need something that initiates the spell, and that is the Enchanter's Eye. So we need to get these things made. As you can see, it actually uses a scry crystal to make the Enchanter's Eye, and then you're going to need a scry crystal in order to link to. Now, the reason why I waited for this was because I wanted a sustainable source of ender pearls, so that's why I got my mob farm up and running before actually making these. So we have ourselves this. Now we're also going to need blaze powder. Thankfully, it doesn't require blaze rods, because we do have plenty of blaze powder. And it also requires a fair few ender pearls as well, right? As you can see. And I have a few of them here. Of course, I don't have my inventories linked down here yet, even though I really should get these linked to my system. That'd be kind of a smart idea, wouldn't it? So let's link this, because we can actually have several inventories, up to 8 per bookworm, connected to it. So let's go ahead and add both of these. That's going to add a ton of items to our storage. So now we can see the true amount of ender pearls that we have. Holy smokes. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this multi-craft. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we are going to put the crystal in. And I don't know, did this, yeah, this doesn't require any source in its operation, so we don't need anything like that. It's just plain Jane. Now, this is going to be our first time interacting with this table, the scribe's table. Now, what we need to do is place it on, as you see right here, and we actually need to give it a spell to use, because right now it doesn't have a spell. So that same spell that we just made, we need to have the use spell set. And then what we're going to do is right-click our book, or shift right-click our book onto the table, and that's going to apply the spell, as you can see, projectile interact, to our Enchanter's Eye. Now, by itself, it doesn't do anything, right? It says it needs a scry crystal to connect to. And this is where things get really powerful. So let's grab just a placement block, and I'm going to place a block right here, and I'm going to put the scry crystal on this block, right? So it is looking at the lectern. And then I'm going to, of course, link it by shift right clicking. And now when I use this, it is going to shoot the spell onto the storage lectern, and it's going to interact. And we could technically set up an Enchanter's Eye that does this anywhere. And so that's pretty darn powerful. And we can use really any spell. Now it does use some of our mana, as you can see right here, our source. And that goes for any spell that we use. We could have some sort of kill spell or convert spell, or something that activates a door with a lever from using this. It can do all kinds of stuff. So pretty darn powerful. Now, here's the only downside. As of right now, with this particular setup, very simple, which I think somebody has come up with a clever solution for getting it to work cross-dimensionally. It doesn't work cross-dimensionally. So I don't exactly know the clever way of doing it cross-dimensionally, but this right here, in its own right, is pretty darn cool, I think. Now, this scry crystal has another use, believe it or not. It's actually a camera. So a couple of things we're going to need to turn this into a camera, which I don't exactly know the full practical uses behind this, outside of being able to observe an area, but I think it's a pretty cool thing to at least show. So over here, we will go ahead and put in the items that are going to be required for making the Scryer's Oculus. And this is the thing that lets us peer into an area. So it again is going to be an enchanting craft. And I love this animation. Some of my favorite parts of modded Minecraft. Man, this mod has really become one of my favorites. Like Botania used to be my favorite. I think this has definitely surpassed Botania. But here we go. So we have the Scryer's Oculus. And what we can do now is we can take this parchment, just regular parchment, and shift right click on this. Oh, well, that is if we didn't pick it up. Oh, that is a thing, isn't it? Oh, I forgot we have this mod. That's right. This is the same mod that lets me, yeah, yeet, yeet them off the map. Hello, my friend. Wow, you look really tiny when you're in my hands. Goodbye. That shouldn't happen. But yes, I guess I need to be a little bit away. There we go. And now it's bound. And as you can see, the icon changed. So let's go ahead and take a pedestal. And what we can do is we can place this. We don't have to put this nearby, by the way. I'm just doing it close by. This thing will follow you. Pretty creepy. But if we put this inside here, this gives us access to this crystal. And you can have multiple around this. Multiple access to multiple cameras. And when you click this, it pulls up a wheel of all of them that exist. When we go into this, look, I can see myself. And then we can adjust the camera using our WASD keys. It's pretty weird. Pretty weird indeed. It's weird that I put it on the floor there. Let's move this. But yes, accessing that, we just basically click on it, put it in there, access it. There we go. Now we can go left and right and up and down. And it allows us to see inventories and stuff. So pretty interesting. However, I cannot interact with things. I feel like that should be something that you should be able to do, is you should be able to like right click inside of here to access inventories that are nearby. But unfortunately you cannot. So that's where we're using the Enchanter's Eye for this. So we'll just have that linked. Bam. We can access our entire storage wirelessly. I love how this thing just looks like every employee ever, just kind of casually minding its own business. And then the boss arrives and it's focused. I love that. Now, if you don't want to use this scry crystal to access your storage, you can actually use RF tools. And that's another way that you can get access to it with a storage. Now, this is something that I kind of also want to set up, because if we do happen to go cross-dimensionally, the storage scanner will work cross-dimensionally. It is quite powerful. Now, we're going to need to get a couple of things set up though for this in order for it to work. So I'm going to need power. So really I can set this anywhere. Let's just set it next to the other RF tools machines. And up here, let's go ahead and give it power like we just did. And we'll set up the radius to sort of scan for inventories. One of the inventories that I'm looking for is just the storage lectern. And we're going to hit routable, and then we're going to go ahead and collapse this. So now we have access to that storage. Every other storage is connected is still accessible via this storage as well. That is the power of this storage lectern. And this is why whenever we go to set into applied energistics, it's going to be very powerful, because we can just simply hook into this with a storage bus and all of our current items will work, and all the inventories connected to it will work. So outside of, just even using this as a storage mod, it can be used to extend multiple inventories into one space. And so you can compress the amount of required ME buses that you can use, limiting your channels and all that stuff. So pretty cool. Now, how do we access this storage scanner wirelessly? This is where it's a little less straightforward. So inside of RF Tools storage, the mod itself, or actually just RF Tools, I guess, there is a screen that we need to craft. And it's, I believe, right here. Where's it at? Screen link. That's not it. It's really weird looking. And this is the same thing I always struggle with every time I jump into this mod. There it is. It's a tablet. Sorry, not screen. Tablet. Because the tablet actually can work the same way as a storage. It can work as a portable storage, utilizing where are they at? These storage modules. But let's keep working on this. So, to try not to confuse as much as possible, I'm going to need blocks of quartz. I hate when it rotates like this. I wish it would just show me regular quartz. The problem with having Botania in the pack. There we go. Regular block of quartz. Let's just make a bunch of them so I don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, so when we craft this, It doesn't do anything on its own. It's very plain Jane, basic, doesn't have anything, but it does have some inventory. So what we need to do is we need to craft an augment for it, a module. I guess it'd be called a module, right? And the modules are listed, where are they at? They're listed over here. These are the screen interactions. There it is. The storage control screen module. That's what I was looking for. It is buried inside of all of these items. But this thing is what I need. It's so simple. But this, we make that control screen module, and we're going to shift right click onto this, and you can see storage module is set to the storage scanner. And so inside of our tablet, we just put that inside, and now we have wireless access and cross-dimensional wireless access to the same inventory. So this is great for when we go to places like the Nether or the End. If we're still using this storage, we can gain access to all of our storage. That means putting items in and pulling items out. Very cool, so long as this area is chunk loaded and maintained. While this right here is really great for whenever we're at our base. So right now we're dealing with two different inventories, but I think it's going to be all worth it in the end. And my goodness, you guys are so persistent. Oh, you're giving away some ultra vector plates. So you know what I think about that? I think you can just you can go away again. By the way, inside that RF tool storage, remember that quartz? Yeah. Let's go ahead and teach ourselves that recipe real quick, so I don't have to go through that anymore. I can just simply click this and it's going to automatically pull up the recipe. So if I double click, oh, that way I can just craft quartz on demand. There's also a couple of other things that'd be really handy, like, I don't know, planks, logs to planks, so we don't have to go through that mess, and then logs to chests, so you don't have to go through that as well. Also, real quick, while I'm over here, I can go ahead and technically make this a lot better. And I know you guys have mentioned it in the comments, and I love you guys commenting, so thank you so much for commenting. But what I need to do here is make this a little bit more efficient. So instead of me burning logs, we need to instead pull the charcoal from here to feed that. And then on here, we can go ahead and put this here. Oh, actually, I guess we need a higher. We need a gold tier, right? So let's grab a gold. And we need to make, yeah, we need to make this bad boy. I guess I could have just used my enchanter's eye. This is the problem you're going to notice with me. Even though I made wireless access, it's going to take a moment for me to adjust to using that. Let's go to round robin. And then what we can do is just pull this out. And that's going to be way more efficient on our logs. And should work a lot better. It's going to burn way more items with our charcoal. And then that should replenish back into here. By the way, this holds 8,000 items by default. That is a lot. Now, I know this whole episode has been just a jumbled mess of all kinds of stuff. But there's one more thing that I would really like to show that I just seen. And I really hope it's what I think it is. I hope this is like the open blocks sky block. So if you make these mage bloom blocks, which come from the mage bloom fibers, which I hope to automate this because these blocks are amazing. By default, you can make these different weaves. And a ghost weave, or you have the microweaves, they all do different things. But the sky weave is the one that I'm interested in. You get 8 of these. And what it's supposed to do is become a skybox and give you access to the sky, which is just like the open blocks skyboxes. And this is amazing. Oh, this has so many cool uses. And apparently you can disable the effect of this by using a dispel on it. Oh, but that's so cool. So if you were looking for something to replace that, like I have been in a lot of mod packs, man, to tell you what, Ars Nouveau has literally just become like number one. It like this makes it number one, 100%. So yeah, that means you can do things like this. Oh, this is so weird, but I love every minute of it. Oh man, the sky. I don't even know if there's a block here. Is there a block up here? I can't tell because it blends right in. Oh, this is so cool. So I think today's episode has gone on long enough. I hope you enjoyed all of the tips from today. Of course, if you did enjoy today's episode, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already and give this video a huge thumbs up. And of course, guys, it is now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's video. And that huge thanks is going to go to Delina Tran 105. Thank you so much for your amazing support and supporting in one of the best ways possible. And that is, of course, by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting me, and or becoming a YouTube member and joining. That is another great way to hop on to the Discord and get access to our supporter servers. And speaking of supporter servers, the Volcano Block server is now up and live if you missed the community post. So be sure to check that out if you haven't already. Of course, that goes for the time of the upload of this series is over, long over. Then, of course, the server will probably no longer be up. But if you're watching it fresh, now, new, the server is most likely still there. So be sure to check that out. And with that, as always, thanks for watching. Bye!